I've done a few of them now. Way too frequent. I mean, I used to be kind of, I've always been fascinated by military equipment and stuff like that and the history behind them. And, you can't learn about the equipment without learning what it's used for and where it was used and why it was used. And right now, heading towards the most hotspot on the planet, the Strait of Hormuz, and why it's going to be the most hotspot on the planet is because of the October surprise from Israel on the Iranian strike. Now, to put it into perspective, 25 nations are going to go and participate in the world's largest naval exercise, from what I understand. Like, it's never been this big. And it's in the region of the world where there's the most conflict. I mean, if you were going to do something like that, you would do it somewhere else where you weren't going to provoke anybody. But I think that's the cover. The idea, they're bringing the minesweepers for the Strait of Hormuz, apparently to clear way for freighters to bring oil out, if Iran decides to block the Strait of Hormuz. But I think it's more to get submarines in to be able to do a strike on Iran's nuclear facility. That said, you have, Russia and China have kind of pulled their ships back a bit, but they're in the area. Everything's in the area. So 25 nations are going there. Now, here's why there's 25 nations going there. What does Iran have? A lot of people don't realize when you look at what Iran owns for military, it's all old U.S. stuff. They have some Russian stuff, but most of the stuff was sold to them by the Americans. I mean, and some of the stuff is newer, like the Sea Stallions and stuff like that. They're building ships left, right, and center. They might not be to the standard of the United States, destroyers and stuff like that, but they're still building them, And they have a fairly large army. I don't think it's going to be like Saddam Hussein. I don't think they're going to be able to pull that off. Why? Because of the rockets. These guys are building like the Prophet 7 missile systems and all that. Like, they're building these rocket systems that can easily destroy ships. I don't think the Iranians are, if they, it doesn't matter who shoots first. I think they can defend themselves to the likes that we're not willing to sacrifice. I mean, you sink one destroyer, you've killed how many hundreds of people to thousands of people. You know what I mean? Picture one of the U.S. Aircraft carriers getting sunk by one of these missiles. You fire 100 missiles at it, trust me, some of them are going to get through. That's all the Iranians are looking for, is just sink one ship. They have 50 midget subs, okay? These little submarines are going to be lethal as hell, even if they see people looking at, yeah, but as they get sunk here, it doesn't matter if it's a Mexican standoff, it doesn't matter if they get each other. Point is you sink an aircraft carrier, you've just killed 3,000 to 5,000 people, okay? In World War I, World War II, that was probably, you'd take those losses in about an hour. In some places, even in Vietnam, they would take losses like that in a day. Not very often, but, Korea, they'd take losses like that. 5,000 men in a day was, it was a calm day today. We lost, how many hundreds of people? It's not that I'm playing it down, but Iraq and Afghanistan in 10 years, that's not really an all-out war. But with the Iranians, I think it will, yeah, but Saddam, we kicked this. Iran is not, Iran is not Iraq in the 90s. The equipment they have is actually pretty decent. And most of it's American equipment. Yeah, some of their aircrafts are older, but they're building new stuff. That's the point. It's the missiles that you got to think of. That's what's going to be successful for Iran. I mean, I'm sure the Americans will sink every ship Iran has, but the problem is when you have a missile that has a 1,200-mile range, every ship is going to be in range of that. You just have to launch enough of them. It's a numbers game at this point. So I don't think the American people are, and Obama is just so, like, this man would order anybody to their death. I mean, he has a kill list. Okay, well, the aircraft carrier, it's for the cause, for the greater good. Left-wing people are very dangerous that way. They're always willing to, let your kids and sons and daughters die for their cause, in the name of democracy, in the name of the women and children. We're probably going to take up rifles against them. Think about it that way. So I think this naval exercise is probably more to do with the strike on Iran than the naval exercise. And on the other side, Russia's also doing an exercise too. It's a strategic exercise. Basically what that means is they're preparing for a nuclear war. That's the kind of training it's going to be. But when you look at where they're strategically placed, excuse me, I had a big lunch, I got to go back to work there. So when they're strategically placed, if a battle were just to, all of a sudden, I don't know, break out like a World War III, they're already in place. So is it a training mission? I think that's the disguise. Hiding in plain view is what it's doing. But 50 midget subs, another 20 or 30 attack subs, and they do have some Dolphin class subs, which are type U-214, 212 boats, kind of like our Victoria class upholder Victoria class submarines here. They're an SSK. Trust me, those are lethal submarines. You don't need a lot of them to sink a. I mean, one submarine with a good commander in it and a good crew. You know, I don't think the U.S. is prepared to fight that kind of a war. Why? Because the odds are, their technology is a little bit behind, but not enough to make a difference. So we'll see where it goes. I know this will be a short video, but I got to get back to work anyway. So, but just to make people aware that yes, we are that much closer to a World War III conflict, and that will probably draw Russia and China into it too, because they are the big brothers of Iran. So, yeah, hopefully it doesn't get to that, but there's nothing we've been doing in the past 2 years that have been heading us away from a World War III scenario. It's everything is, I think this is the times we're living in. This is where, because 3 major wars were decided years ago to happen. It was going to happen no matter what. It's all pre-planned. And this might be the, hopefully not, but we'll see. We're getting close anyway. Scary enough. Okay, World War III update. I've done a few of them now. Way too frequent. I used to be kind of, I've always been fascinated by military equipment and stuff like that and the history behind them. And, you can't learn about the equipment without learning what it's used for and where it was used and why it was used. And right now, heading towards the most hotspot on the planet, the Strait of Hormuz, and why it's going to be the most hotspot on the planet is because of the October surprise from Israel on the Iranian strike. Now, to put it into perspective, 25 nations are going to go and participate in the world's largest naval exercise, from what I understand. Like, it's never been this big, and it's in the region of the world where there's the most conflict. I mean, if you were going to do something like that, you would do it somewhere else where you weren't going to provoke anybody. But I think that's the cover. The idea, they're bringing the minesweepers